Hello everyone and welcome to the webinar on Unified Modeling Language. Before we dive into it, I'd actually like to talk about a common task all of us do, and that's the to-do list. Whether you mentally prepare one and forget half the list, or you write it down, you take the time to put it down, uh, we still all do one. And we typically have our own language for how we make the list. And that language is very clear to me because I'm the one that made it. So I know exactly what I want to do. However, a lot of times our lists are not 100% clear. So for example, I make to-do lists all the time and then I go back to them and I wonder, what did I mean by that? I don't really get what I wanted from that. Or at other times, I will try and separate my list and give them to my wife and say, hey, can you do some of these things for me? Maybe, for example, buy some food. And then she says, okay, what should I buy? And I'm like, did you look at the food list? And then things I thought would be common sense or just a process that I've already established in my mind would be passed on by this simple list. But it's not. The language that we all use is different. How we think about things are different. Call a company and complain. That is definitely something, if I tell my wife to do, might not be as effective as if I did it. And typically how we think of organizing our lists are completely different. For example, I might organize my to-do list into different classes with different attributes and different methods, whereas another person might have this different visualization for it. And for me to correctly portray it, I have to add more information to this, or we have to come to an agreement on what terms we want to use. Now, of course, I don't want to write a lengthy paragraph, or I don't want to write all the code and then hand it off to someone else, and then they have to reread it all and kind of understand exactly what I was trying to do as I made my to-do list or my app or another coding project or something. We also think to ourselves about the interactions of each area. And a to-do list, an example might be, oh, I want to go here first, and this might affect this other area, but I can put that in there because I already have this planned. And we can understand how everything works together. Whereas another person, if I gave them the list, they might not see how that fits in with my general plan of things. Now, unified modeling language is built for software engineers. It's built so we can have that clear communication on what we visualize or the process that we're going through or what is expected. It helps us be able to diagram everything out. And I'm sure many of you have already seen something like this. This is a class diagram. So it simply states the class name, the attributes, and then the methods that are associated with it. And as you guys know, there's 100 ways to do one thing. Especially with coding, we can approach it from many different angles, many different areas. But when we use a unified modeling language, we can portray what is expected and what we envision, and we can make it very complex. We can show different levels of parent classes with subclasses, how different classes relate with each other, and not just classes, but entire programs and everything. This is an example of a component diagram and how everything interacts with each other, how one area might influence another or pull from another area. This one is an activity diagram. And this more relates with the process, with the interactions. And we actually have two different sections within unified modeling language. We call one structural, which you just saw with this class diagram. It's more of the structure I want to address. Same with this component diagram, whereas we have the behavioral, the interactions, which is an activity diagram. But we have, in unified modeling language, we have set kind of a standard language that we use with each other. So when I do pass on my to-do list, it is very clear what is expected. what is needed to be done rather than constantly having this back and forth, not understanding what's going on and needing more clarification. We could also, the benefit of a unified modeling language is after I put down my ideas, after I diagram my ideas, I can come back to it. I can modify it, but I know exactly what I was thinking at the moment I put it down. It is a huge benefit to anyone within the tech industry to take advantage of and start using. Thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, go ahead and type them in, and I'd be happy to respond to them. Thank you.